Hey there, have you ever heard of a woman who once led over 70,000 men? Sounds unbelievable, right? But tonight, I'll take you back in time to uncover the story of this extraordinary woman. Before we begin, would you mind telling me what time it is where you are right now? Now, close your eyes, relax your body, and listen to the sound of my voice. Together, we're about to take a journey through time. Ready? Let's begin. Let me tell you something. Not everyone is born to be chosen. But some people, they don't wait to be chosen. They carve out their own space in history, like the wind, finding a sail to fill. This woman, her real name is lost to time. Some called her Zheng Yi Sao, others called her Ching Shih, but for tonight, I'll call her what she truly was. A legend with no need for a spotlight. Before she became the most powerful pirate in human history, she was just a woman in a brothel. In Canton, modern-day Guangzhou, a city of ships and smoke and silver coins, the brothels were packed with women sold like objects. She was one of them. Every day, she heard hundreds of lies, saw hundreds of eyes that never meant what they said. And in that place of shadows, she learned something most never do. How to read people. Who was bluffing? Who was pretending? Who could be broken with nothing but a smile? And then, one day, he walked in. Zheng Yi, a rising pirate commander, already feared along the coast. No one knows why he came to that brothel. Maybe for pleasure, maybe for information, but what's certain is, he met her, and instead of dragging her out like property, he negotiated with her. He wanted her to be his wife, she said. Not just your wife, I want part of your command. I want real power. A former prostitute, asking for a share in one of the most dangerous pirate fleets in Asia, and the strangest thing, he said yes. So, she boarded his ship. Not to stand behind him quietly, but to learn. She studied the routes, she read the ledgers, she learned the tides, and more importantly, she learned men. The roughest pirates underestimated her, until they realized she didn't need muscle. She had a mind like a blade, cold, sharp, and unshakable. Then, one day, Zheng Yi died. Some say it was an ambush, others say an accident. A few whispered it might have been her. No one truly knows, but what mattered most was what happened next. When a leader dies, chaos follows. The fleet was huge, dozens of factions, hundreds of ships. Everyone thought they'd take control. Then she stood up, calm, silent, and she said, "I will continue his command." No one laughed, no one spoke, because deep down, they knew they'd lose if they challenged her. She didn't just hold on to her husband's legacy, she reshaped it. Instead of letting the pirates scatter and fight over scraps, she pulled them together. Rival captains either swore loyalty or disappeared. She divided the forces into 6 squadrons. Each had a flag, but all answered to her. That's when the Red Flag Fleet was born. You're hearing the story of a woman who once belonged to no one, now commanding more ships and men than many kingdoms could dream of. And from that moment on, the sea would never be the same, because it had found its queen. In the next part of this story, I'll tell you how she ruled this floating empire, the laws she wrote, the punishments she enforced, and why thousands of hardened pirates obeyed her without question. If you're still awake, stay with me. The waves are still whispering. And this tale isn't finished yet. Funny thing about empires, most fall because they lose control, but pirates, they rise, for exactly the same reason. So here's a question. If you gather tens of thousands of outlaws, people who reject all rules, how do you make them obey? That was the magic of Zheng Yi Sao. And no, she didn't start with blood and chains. she started with something stronger. After taking command of her late husband's fleet, she wasted no time. She issued rules, bold, simple, brutal, and once they were written, no one dared test them. The red flag LAWs firm and final: desertion, death; stealing from the crew or hiding loot, death; sexual assault of a female prisoner, immediate execution; disobedience, whipping, starvation, or expulsion, depending on the crime. Loot distribution had to be declared openly and split by rank. Everyone knew what their cut was. Officers got more. Regular crew received their share. Those wounded in battle, compensated; killed in action, their families were paid and cared for. It wasn't chaos anymore. It was a floating system. Terrifying, yes, but more fair than many empires on land. People ask. Pirates had laws, yes, and those laws were why she succeeded where others failed. These were not suggestions. These were commandments. If you broke them, there were no second chances. In waters where no emperor ruled, her word became law. It wasn't just a bunch of raiders. It operated like a nation, organized into squadrons, with a military structure, supply depots, medical support, widow and orphan benefits. Zheng Yi Sao even set up resupply stations along the coast, places where red flag ships could rest, repair, and refuel, without ever stepping foot in government ports. What about prisoners? She let merchant families pay ransom for their loved ones. Couldn't pay, you might be sold, or, if lucky, offered a place in the fleet. But once you swore allegiance, there was no turning back. She was capable of having men hanged in front of their own crews for breaking even minor rules. She would burn entire villages for harboring defectors. But the strange thing is, people trusted her, not out of love, but because in a world full of broken promises, she never broke hers. There's a story. One captain, well-liked and battle-tested, was caught hiding just 3 silver ingots from a recent raid. He begged for forgiveness, on his knees, in front of hundreds. Zheng Yi Sao said, "If I spare you, 10 others will do the same tomorrow." And she ordered his execution, on the spot. No one ever tried again. It was harsh, but it was predictable. And on the open sea, where winds shifted and tempers flared, that kind of consistency, it was gold. She became the one fixed thing. In a world where everything drifted, in the next scene, I'll tell you how Zheng Yi Sao didn't just rule a fleet. She terrified empires. The Qing dynasty, the Portuguese, even the British Navy, all of them tried to break her. But in the end, they only won what she allowed them to take. If you're still awake, stay with me. The sea is calm tonight, but our story is just beginning to stir. Some people are born to follow the rules, others are born to rewrite them. After securing her place at the top, Zheng Yi Sao didn't stop. She expanded the fleet. Not just a gang of pirates anymore, but a full-fledged naval force, ruling the seas off southern China. They blocked tax ships, hijacked merchants, raided arsenals, burned government records. It wasn't just piracy anymore. It was a rebellion at sea. The Qing dynasty panicked. Reports flooded the capital. We've lost control of the southern coast. Villagers are abandoning their farms to join her. Our navy refuses to sail. The emperor was furious. He ordered her eliminated at all costs. The Qing dispatched hundreds of warships, but Zheng Yi Sao was already waiting. She didn't fight head-on. She used the sea like a chessboard. Her ships split into squadrons, lured the imperial navy into shallow waters, then closed in from all sides. It was a trap, and it worked. In one campaign, Nearly 50 government ships were destroyed. Survivors limped home. Captured soldiers, some were ransomed, others chose to join her. Then came the West, with the Qing humiliated. European powers grew anxious. The Portuguese, who controlled trade in Macau, couldn't afford to lose their sea lanes. They sent in warships, steel-clad, cannon-loaded, proud and confident. But they didn't know the tides. They didn't know her ships. And they didn't know she had already laid her trap. One foggy morning, as the Portuguese fleet moved into a bay, 300 smaller red flag ships swarmed in, like a storm of sharks. Hooked ropes tore into rudders. Sails were slashed. The Europeans, caught off guard, were overwhelmed. The fleet retreated. They never came back. Finally, the British, after watching both the Qing and Portuguese fail, Britain stepped in. They sent a patrol fleet, just observing, they claimed. Behind the scenes, they coordinated with Qing commanders to strike Zheng Yi Sao. But when all three powers moved at once, they discovered something terrifying. They were playing by her rules. Zheng Yi Sao didn't panic. She didn't rage. She did something no one expected. She negotiated. She offered to surrender, but on her terms. She would give up a portion of her ships. She would allow the Qing to absorb her fleet, but in return, she would receive a full pardon. She would keep all her wealth, and astonishingly, she would be granted noble status. The deal went through. Zheng Yi Sao, once a pirate queen, walked away, a free woman. No trial, no prison, no war. Do you understand what that means? A woman, once a brothel girl, then a pirate, stared down 3 empires, the Qing dynasty, the Portuguese Empire, the British Navy. None of them could defeat her. She didn't lose. She simply chose to leave. In the final chapter of this story, I'll show you the legacy Zheng Yi Sao left behind. Why even now, centuries later, historians still whisper her name with awe, and why, among all the pirates in history, no man ever came close to her throne. Some names vanish with time, swept away like sand under a rising tide, but others resurface again and again, whispered by waves, remembered in storms. Zheng Yi Sao was one of those names. After the Grand Surrender, after defying kings, emperors, and foreign navies, she walked away from the sea. Not in shame, not in defeat, but on her own terms. She became a free woman. No more hiding, no bounty on her head. She ran a small shipping business in Guangdong. She raised 2 children. And the authorities. They left her alone. In the quiet years that followed, she lived modestly. No palace, no guards, no throne made of gold or fear. Just the peace she had earned. After commanding storms and surviving 3 empires, she likely died in her 60s. No one knows exactly when. But what we do know is this. Zheng Yi Sao died old, rich, and undefeated, something almost no pirate in history could ever claim. She didn't leave behind journals or letters. No memoir, no portrait. But she left behind something stronger. A legacy no one could erase. A woman born into poverty, sold to a brothel, treated like property, and yet, she became the most powerful pirate in human history. Over 70,000 men under her command. Over 1,800 ships at her back. Her fleet controlled thousands of miles of coastline. For years, not even empires could move without her permission. No pirate, not Blackbeard, not Calico Jack, not even the infamous Bartholomew Roberts, ever came close. And in a world where women were forgotten, erased, or rewritten by others, she didn't need anyone to write her story. She carved it into the ocean herself. People ask, how could a woman rise so high? The answer isn't cruelty, it's clarity. She knew how the world worked. She didn't wait for mercy. She made her own rules, in a world designed to keep her small. Tonight, if you're drifting off to sleep, I want you to remember, there was once a woman, sold, hunted, feared, who made 3 global powers kneel. She wasn't rescued, she didn't get lucky, she won, on her own. And you may not be sailing a pirate ship, but maybe you're navigating your own storm. Maybe your ocean looks different. But I hope this story reminds you, you can choose your way forward. Thank you for staying with me through this tale. May it bring you peace, and maybe, just maybe, inspire a dream or two about the sea and the woman who ruled it. Thank you for staying with me until the very end of tonight's story. I hope this journey gave you something to reflect on, or, at the very least, helped you drift off into a peaceful sleep. If you're still awake, leave me a comment and let me know where you're from and what time it is over there. Once again, thank you so much. Sleep well, and I'll see you in the next story.